Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Performance Scrutiny Committee Partnerships. Before we start, just a little bit of housekeeping. This Scrutiny Committee is being conducted live in accordance with the requirements of the Local Government and Elections Wales Act 2021 and the Council's arrangements for multi-location meetings. I would remind members that this meeting is being live streamed to the public. Can I request that you all switch off your cameras and mute your microphones when you are not speaking to ensure there is no unnecessary background noise and to help with the audio and visual quality of the broadcast. The Council's standing orders and code of conduct will apply at all times during this virtual meeting in the same way as ordinary meetings, and members should conduct themselves accordingly. Can I also remind members to ensure their chat function is switched on and to use that facility to indicate to me when they wish to speak on a particular item. The hands up function isn't working this evening, so for those of you online, pop in the chat and let us know, and I'll pick you up from there if that's okay. But please do not speak until I invite you to do so, and remember to unmute your microphone and switch your camera on. As well as being broadcast live, a recorded version of this remote meeting will be uploaded onto the Council website for public viewing as soon as possible after the meeting. Welsh translation of proceedings can be provided on request, and the images and sound recording may also be used for training purposes within the Council. Can I also remind members as well, we are here to question the reports that are in front of us. Any other issues outside that should be picked up outside of this scrutiny meeting. Thank you very much. Okay, start with apologies.
Thanks for the big question.
Thank you very much. Any declarations of interest? No? Fabulous. Brilliant. We're going to skip the minutes and put those towards the end of the meeting. So we're going to move straight on to the Shared Resource Service monitoring update. And we've got a cast of thousands today, which is lovely. Do you all want to introduce yourselves for hundreds of viewers at home? Just so for
Thank you, Chair. So from the Council, we've got myself, Tracy McKim. So we lead on the client side with our partners, the SRS, and we've got Dominic just with me. If I start with Matt Lewis, who's the Chief Operating Officer from the SRS. And I know you've got some colleagues online, Matt. So do you want to go around and introduce everyone else?
Yeah, it's fine if we do it in the room. So we've got Sarah.
Sarah Stevens, Service Delivery for SRS.
Got Mike.
Mike Doverman, one of the Assistant Directors of the SRS in charge of operations.
And we've got two people joined by teams as well. So we've got Kath.
Hi, Kath Bevan-Seymour. I'm the Deputy Chief Operating Officer.
And Paul.
Yeah, hello, Paul Higgs, Assistant Director for Infrastructure.
So everybody got any questions?
brilliant. That's amazing. Thank you very much. I understand you've got a bit of a report for us, a presentation that you'd like to take through.
We do.
Before you start, Matt, can I just mention also cabinet members?
Oh, Dimitri's online as well.
Online.
Sorry, Councillor Petruni.
Sorry.
Thanks. Okay, Matt.
Okay,
Away.
thank you.
Yeah, take it away.
So I won't read the report line by line, but I will kind of pick up some of the important points as we work our way through the paper. I will do a bit of the background just in case there are any members that haven't worked with us before or are not aware of what we do. So we are the technology service to 5 public sector organisations, Newport being one of them. The others by the Grant Council, Monmouthshire Council, Tormund Council and Gwent Police, and the Office of the Police and Crime Commissioner as well. Gwent, there's no 2 separate bodies, but those are the organisations we provide services to and have been doing since early 2010. Newport joined in 2017. So we have picked up other organisations on our way through. 3.2 then, we've recently run through a remodel of the SRS for a number of reasons. Certainly with the financial pressures coming up, we're trying to position ourselves in advance of those. And lots of other reasons. We have retention issues, give opportunities to staff, remove some of our resilient problems that we have, so people are working across multiple services. And we've merged a lot of the services back into professions rather than having different support functions across the SRS. So we've just come to the end of that process now, and that's worked very well. The positive from my perspective is we've maintained the level of performance that we had prior to the change. Maybe sometimes with a remodel of that size, you'd expect a different performance, but as we'll see with the stats here, and those are mirrored across our partners, that hasn't happened. So it's been really positive. But from our perspective, we expect to kind of improve from this point going forward. As we work our way down to section 4, it's kind of a reminder, I guess, the governance arrangements of the SRS, so you can see who from Newport Council is involved in governing and driving the SRS. On the left-hand side of that diagram is the kind of more important part from your perspective, the pink side. At the top, there's strategic board, so that includes your chief exec and Councillor Scrutiny on the board from a Newport perspective. We then have 2 boards underneath, which are sub-boards of the strategic board, finance and governance, which does all of our audit, governance, financial planning, budgeting and monitoring. So that has Myriam Rushworth on it from Newport and Tracy as well. And then from the business and collaboration board perspective, that's all of the transformation directors across all of our partners. So I'm talking about kind of what kind of things do we want to do together. So again, Tracy, Don, Mark, Sam, we have a number of people come to that. I guess the more the better, because it's about engaging the organisation and what do you want from us as a service. Down to section 4.2 then, from a finance perspective, there's quite a bit of detail in some of these screenshots, if you like, from our accounts, but it's really important from a Newport perspective because it shows you not only that we're delivering the service that's required from us, it's certainly for last year and into this year, it's at a reducing and decreasing financial amount, which in the current climate is quite challenging to actually achieve. So you can see from some of the numbers there in section 4.2, the budget for the start of the year was 3.14 million, actually delivered it at 2.9, and then that works its way through into the following year. So the amount of money we require to run the service sits at that level and moving forward. So it has reduced, and actually it's the only one of our 5 that did reduce. So a very positive position for Newport, and that's primarily because Newport were in at the end of the process, whereas everybody was in the start. So savings for others from the start, and Newport's taken advantage and benefit from the things that we've done for others as a result of the way we work. So financial position really positive. Down to 4.3 financial outturn. So again, lots of detail in there about the breakdown of what those costs actually are. What does Newport pay for from the SRS? What do you actually get for that number? And maybe technical terms in the savings document, but it's just to show you that there are multiple things that we have done and multiple things that have driven down the cost to you as an organisation. So it's not just one kind of thing. We can say to somebody else, do this and you will save 200,000. There's a whole host of things in there that Newport benefited from because of things like scales of economy and doing things with other organisations. And that's the really important point for us throughout this whole thing. It's a lot of this is achieved by doing it with other public sector organisations. That's the huge benefit and the driver that we always have in everything that we do. Down to 4.4 into reserve. So we hold a reserve for Newport specifically. So savings that are made for Newport end up in a Newport only reserve, and only you can decide what to spend those on. I can't say, let's go off and do this thing and we'll take that money from Newport. I can't do that. We need Myriam's approval to actually spend that reserve on something. So there's quite a few things that Newport are going to be spending that on, but certainly the last few months and over the coming 6 to 12 months. The website, I think, being one of those big areas. So again, a really positive amount of money that was expected to have been spent has been saved and is now being used for something that you don't have to spend in Newport. So again, real positive from our perspective. 4.5, audit. If we go back 4 years when Newport joined, audit probably was telling us that things weren't being managed in the best way they possibly could be. Audit is completely transformed, with the support of everybody around this table, and Kath kind of driving the audit service from our side. We are now the highest rating you can be. The highest rating is satisfactory, which doesn't sound amazing, but that's not the highest tier you can get. So satisfactory is the best you can be from an audit perspective. And then on the following page, there's a full list of all the audits that we've had in the last year, and the number of things that were tested and the percentage of things that we met as part of that audit. And on the far right, the actual number of findings that we had to action coming out of those audits. So really positive picture. Audits improved drastically. We get less recommendations at the back of it, and when we get them, we deal with them when we should deal with them. It should all really positive. Down to page 8, the kind of risk management. There are risks that we highlight to our boards that I mentioned in the governance structure. There are a few that seem to have lasted for quite a long time, out to the back of COVID possibly. Things like global supply chain. That's an issue for everybody. It's an issue in home life. It's an issue in work life. things are more expensive, take longer to get hold of, and a lot of stuff is not available. And that's the base of it. And sometimes things take longer to arrive, and projects might get delayed because you can't get hold of the things you need to when you need to. So that's still a risk for us now. Even the large companies like the Cisco's, they still seem to struggle with that kind of global supply chain issue to get equipment to us. Cybersecurity, again, you'll know that from your home life. Everything is being hacked. Everyone's being threatened. Everyone's under attack from someone to do with things on their computer. For us, that's kind of magnified to a really high level. So we've got lots of things in place, and we have put lots of things in place over the last few years in Newport as well as for other partners, that make sure that you are as secure and as protected as you can be, again, within the budget envelope. And recruitment and retention and reward for us is a big issue. Slowing down a little. I think when we came last year, this was probably at its peak. We'd lost 27 people out of the 220 that we have, and getting hold of people at the salaries that we pay is an issue, no question, as it is across the council. It's not just IT, I get that. But we are starting to see the slow down a little bit. So less people are leaving, and we're actually seeing some people come back who did leave. They want to come back to the organisation. So again, hopefully that's turned the tide a little bit, but still a concern. Section 5 then, we used to talk in a language of investment objectives in Newport because that's what the business case had in it. We're past that point now, so those things were delivered to a point where we could say, okay, we've delivered those investment objectives. It's now about business as usual and operating and moving forward. So this is all the performance here. It's our performance scorecard. So all the kind of greens and reds and ambers you see on that scorecard, they're our performance. Obviously, green means it's above SLA. Amber is a concern, and red is when it's gone over. So there are a couple of reds on there. Luckily, not Newport, but they are for other partners. And you can see from there, things like budget is green, SLA delivery is green. So if you look through there, I'm happy to answer any questions again after. But that's our visual display of performance specifically for Newport, that diagram. So we can show it for everybody, and we can show it for a partner, but that one's specifically for Newport because that's where we're here. And the sections underneath, if you keep reading down to that performance section, you've got the overall SLA broken down into categories. So there's all the different percentages. The first point of contact, because that's something that's really important to our partner organisations. I need something fixed when I phone up. Do I get it fixed? How often do I get it fixed? Again, so that's a high percentage above SLA for us. There's the customer satisfaction section there, and a heat map. You've got red in there, you've got a bunch of ambers in there, and a couple of greens in there. So again, happy to might come take a couple of questions on that one if you want to. As we work our way down to section 6, we start to get into the big projects that have happened for Newport over the last 12 months since we came last time. Again, I won't read through them all. There's some technical names in there about the products that we bought, but like 6.1, that's principally protecting your information. There was no backup for Office 365. We bought it, we put it in place. When you buy something like Office 365, you assume there's backup for it. There's not. So we now have backup for Office 365. So all of Newport's information that sits in there is protected and available to be restored if it were to go missing. Big cybersecurity initiative, which I mentioned, lots of investment around that. And touch wood, you're never fully protected. You always assume you've been breached, but we are as protected as we possibly could be there. So that's a real positive. 6.3 is worth mentioning because that's I think when we came last time, Newport was just starting or just due to start, I think, in the data center migration. So none of your infrastructure is any longer on site. It always used to be in this building downstairs. That's now on a shared infrastructure sat in a data center down Celtic Springs called Vantage Data Center. You are now on shared infrastructure with the other 3 local authorities that we support. So that business case that went through back in 2020 that came through council, that's now been delivered. And there's a significant amount of savings and certainly cost avoidance from a long-term perspective for the fact that you are now actually down there and using all that same equipment. And I still hold that project is quite unique across the UK. We work with a lot of different people, and we don't come across many people that have done what we've done in that data center. So it's a real positive and way out in front of a number of people from that perspective. I won't read through them all, but if you want to ask any questions on any of those projects, then please feel free to ask. We've got all the people here that can answer those questions. If we go down to section 6.8 on page 15, I think it is. So we've always historically by this scrutiny committee been asked lots of questions about education, and because everyone's a governor on different groups, there's always a keen interest in schools. So we've added this section in, I think we did it last year. Just to give you an idea of the sorts of numbers of devices that we've rolled out across schools. And when you get to the bottom of that list, this is just the Newport list. So 2,529 devices, and broken down there by all the different types of devices that have actually gone into schools. A lot of it as a result of the Welsh Government grant funding. You know, not all of this has been bought by schools, it's been grant funded. You still need someone to actually go and put that equipment in. So, you know, Sarah teams, it was then, they've done all of this work, and that's made a massive difference to schools across all the 4 LAs. You know, it's been really positively received. And off the back of that, we've actually managed to increase the SLA sign-up, more so in Newport than our other partners actually as well. We saw, I think, 3 schools come back in before we came last year, and we've had 2 asked to come back in recently. So we're bringing one of the secondaries back in April and the second back in August next year. So we'll have more Newport schools in than we've ever had in, which is really positive. And then there's a couple of updates in there about the ability we've had to merge infrastructures and merge things that we do. And again, if we'd have continued to operate as we had done previously, we would have been spending numbers in the region of £420,000 on duplicate infrastructures. But because of how we've operated and what we've done, we've not had to buy that. We've managed to put schools onto a similar infrastructure to our corporate environments in our shared data centre advantage, and avoided having to pay, you know, substantial numbers for equipment and licenses. So that, you know, again, touch wood, but it's worked really, really well, and we'll continue to try it that way as well. There's only a couple left on the end, the 6.9 and 6.10. So we are working with partners on certainly on net zero contributions. The data centre move has made a significant contribution to those. That's certainly where we were in Balavan, where Glen Gwent were in Abervale, and where Newport were downstairs. I'm not sure we could provide the same kind of certifications on 100% renewables for energy that we could have in these locations, but we can do that now where we are. And you know, simply by the fact of taking forward and doing it once, we've managed to reduce the amount of energy that all of those things consume. So that's a really positive position, made a big contribution from our perspective to those measures. Obviously, still lots more to do, and you know, we'll be part of anything moving forward. But that was a real positive for us. And the final one on social value, we've got quite a wide range of things here, but just a couple to pick out. We've got things like disposals contracts, where the equipment that we no longer require goes back to a company who recycle it back into the community. I think they run shops where, you know, a laptop might be like £30 or a Chromebook might be £20, but they do all the work to put it back into an operational state, goes back out to the community. And you know, we picked working with a Welsh company, I think they're Merthyr based, specifically for that reason, because that's where it goes and that's the benefit it has out in the community. And we put an apprenticeship scheme in recently. I think we have 4 or 5 apprentices across the SRS in different disciplines, and cycling them around to give them some experience of working in an organisation like ours, with a view that they will actually move into the organisation and become permanent employees with the SRS as well. But we've used the Bridge to the Work schemes in the past, and we'll continue to use schemes like this because I used to be unique in saying I came from no GCSEs and through a kind of a trade route into the organisation, but I think that probably explains most of us in the SRS now. We all came through unusual routes to get to where we are, and we absolutely want to support young people in finding an easier way into an organisation like ours and progressing them through. So that one is really important to us. But that's I know I talk very quickly, and so what's up?
That's brilliant, thank you.
No, if there are any questions, we generally have all the people who can answer anything, so happy to take questions.
Perfect. I think Councillor Scrutiny may want to come in and add to that. Is that correct?
I'll wait for the questions if that's all right, Chair. I'm interested in what the committee members want to say.
No problem at all. Thank you. Okay, so where should we start? I'll go round the room. Pat, would you like to go first?
The financial controls seem to have produced really good results. What progress or what potential is there to recruit extra organisation, more organisation into SRS? So I won't name names, but there are 2 Welsh authorities that one has already started working in our data centre, and one is about to start working in our data centre in our shared room.
And I think there are levels to it. You know, you need to bring an organisation in, get them comfortable with working with you on something, and then you can work your way up from there. So my hope is that, you know, those kind of shoots of started to do something with us will lead to greater things further down the line. But I am interested. I had a completely off the wall approach from an English authority. So I am actually talking to an English authority as well at the moment, which I don't want who we work with. I work with anyone. I think what we do can be applied anywhere.
Always go across the border, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. What else across the border?
It's a nice to that.
Mr. Children, lovely to hear you speak with such enthusiasm. See that job satisfaction is worth more than money. It was quite interesting to hear you mention 3 times retention is a difficult thing across the entire organisation. What's the main reason for that, please?
So the major reason we lost 27 was money, no question. You know, and in exit interviews, people will say, I'm going, and we lost some people that I would never want to lose. You know, there were people who left the organisation that I would have kept forever. They left for £25,000 more doing a job which was less responsibility than what they had. I can't compete with that, none of us can compete with that. So, and there were 1 or 2 left because of the complexity. Our organisation is a very challenging organisation to work in, no question. Every day is different. You could be in front of a chief constable today, chief exec tomorrow, head teacher the day after that. And some people just want to work in one organisation with one set of guides, one set of projects, and focus on doing one thing. So we did lose some for that reason. But you know, we absolutely want to retain the people that we have. It's good to see some people coming back. But one of the key things for us, I think Mike actually mentioned the conversation yesterday. We're starting to see a lot of people recommending family members to come work for the SOS, and you start to see the similar surnames coming through in the job applications. Go back 8-9 years, that was never the case. People wouldn't recommend friends or family to come and work with the SOS, whereas now they're comfortable doing that. I take that as a positive, that they must like working there, therefore they're comfortable for family and friends to come and work there.
Another question, where do the cyber attacks come from? Is there a sort of a general area where they come from, or is it just people being malicious across the board?
I would say it's across the board. I mean, we got to a point where we restricted down the ability to log into our organisation from just the UK, because you could watch it, you could see someone start in Russia, China, and then it will get closer and closer and closer. But once someone has a password or someone has an entry point, they will make that publicly available, and everybody across the world will try and get it. So it genuinely is everywhere. I don't know if anyone's got a different answer, but I know there's a couple of people as
It's the Norris Kensington screen.
Yeah, thanks for that. Very interesting. I think last time you came, there was a question about apprenticeships. And I was just interested on looking at the diversity of the apprentices that you were taking on. I think it was said that you will provide some figures monitoring, you know, what the sort of diversity profile is.
Okay.
I think the second point on the same topic really, I think I asked about what were the links with the local university in terms of, you know, employability of students and work experience, that type of thing, you know. So what's happening there really?
So we're working with a company, a training company in Cardiff, and they're, no question, the candidates that they get through their scheme are far more diverse than candidates that apply for roles when we put a job out. And we had a session yesterday with Sunil Patel, name was, but we were kind of working through how can we increase the diversity of people that apply for our roles. And one of the issues is our jobs only go out on tourline.gov.uk website. Very few people look there. So we were trying to get some advice on how can we increase the visibility of our roles to people that are from very different backgrounds. And in particular, I had some really good suggestions of things we're going to follow up. But our university links are through groups like City Deal. So we will have people, I think one of our InfoSec cyber apprentices, for example, is from Cardiff Met, I believe, through the Ventures program in City Deal. So those are the kind of links we're trying to create in the universities. And there's obviously the Software University in Newport. We're talking, hopefully we're coming down to see them in a couple of weeks.
What did you say? Yeah, do you want to just actually follow up from Councillor Morris about
your employees that you say that, you know, leave for better pay, less work. Have you actually made any changes to retain those employees?
So the people at the point that they've got a job that's going to be paying £25,000 more, it's impossible to retain. No, people won't stay for, I can give you more flexibility, or I can, and to be fair, most of them have phoned me up and said, can I sit down with you and go through pros and cons? And I'll do that with anybody that comes. But when you get to a place where the only difference, you know, I think because of COVID, lots of organisations were now able to offer the flexibility that we were offering that they liked. And when all of those things are equal and the only difference becomes a number on a page, I don't have that flexibility to increase one person by 20k when 7 people in the same job at the 20k less number. I know it's not a great answer, but that's the reality, and that's the Bruce Tracy Dom, they'll be dealing with that same issue from a Newport perspective.
Councillor Jones?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I've got 2 questions. One is just basic. It is obviously for contact. Many councillors have conversations about contact you if we have an issue with the laptop or systems. So have you got a direct contact base where we just sort of like contact you directly, and who's the right person to contact? So telephone number, and can you share it to us? I know the City Council is supposed to share it with us as well as, but it needs updating perhaps, or if you can send that directly to us and we can share it with your councillors.
Okay.
Because it's important if we go down, obviously it's important to our work. The second question is obviously going back onto 4.4 section, and it says reserves, there's 548,000.
Yeah.
Look at later on down there, we've got a capital reserves under 21k. So is that part of the 548 or is it?
Yes.
It is.
So the 548 is generated from money that we haven't spent or that we've saved for Newport.
It's the capital reserves. I just didn't know if it was separate.
Yeah, separate numbers.
So this is separate to that.
Yes. So the 121 is contributed to us from Newport to pay for things in advance in the data centre when they need replacement.
It's just obviously there's an expansion with the website. I think it's nice to know there's 2 pots there that we can draw upon.
Yep.
If I do.
Just go online, just check. Councillor Davis, do you have any questions you'd like to ask?
Yeah, I'd like to say the same as my fellow councillors have said. Brilliant report, really interesting to read. The one thing that I want to pick up on, I think has been brought up recent, you know, earlier on, is apprenticeships. Good idea, but I was wondering what the percentage of those apprenticeships are Newport in relation to the other authorities you're working in?
So all 5 of the apprentices we have, they're all SRS employed. So I wouldn't say that there's a split between different partners. They will work across all 5 partners, all 5 of those apprentices at some point, but they are all SRS employed and funded from within our base budget.
Brilliant, thank you.
Councillor Kim, do you have anything you'd like to ask?
Hi there. Yeah, I was just curious as to what happens with call-outs if any of the systems go down. Do you have anything set up at the moment whereby you have staff on call that could respond immediately to any IT issues, or do you use another company for any disruption or any IT issues that are outside of working hours?
We do have an on call. Do you want to go for that one, Kath?
Hi there. Yes, so we run 24/7. So through the week, Monday to Friday, 8 till 5, we have the service desk open. Taking the earlier point, we absolutely will recirculate the contact details for you there. But you know, the service desk is service desk engineers, so they're able to do some first line type resolution with you on the phone, and then if it's a more complex issue, it gets passed into the technical teams for resolution out of hours. So from 5 p.m. through to 8 o'clock the following morning, all through the weekends and on bank holidays, we have a slightly different service. So we have a call take-in service. So they are not IT engineers. They take the call in the first instance. And if it's a call that's supported out of hours, so by that it means that your business continuity team in Newport will have determined that the system is critical to business. So it will be classified as either a platinum system or a gold system. If the call meets that criteria, then it will be passed directly to the technical teams, regardless of the time of night. And through the night, we have a manager, 2 infrastructure resources, one server, one network, and an applications resource who would work together. In the situation where we've had a business continuity type issue, we have gone to those arrangements and actually called wider numbers of staff in if required as well. So yeah, we do cover all year round.
Lacey, did you want to come on?
Yeah, I'll just follow up on that point because this is really helpful actually. When we moved to the SRS, and obviously the Council of Scrutiny were involved in all of those decisions, that was one of the reasons, because it's really hard with a small IT service to provide on-call without it being really expensive, and everyone relies on IT so much more now. So that was one of the kind of big investments that we needed, and the more resilient nature of the IT that you get when you buy bigger and massively simplifying the technology that matter. That's a core objective to achieve that. So helpful question.
Sure. So Karen, have you got anything else?
The only other question that I was going to raise was the issues with cyber attacks. The team kind of constantly developing and training their staff to keep up with the chronic problems of cyber attacks that seems to be worsening year after year.
And that is a pressure for us at the moment. We've got 3 people in a team with permanent funding. We have 3 additional people in that team currently on temporary funding that we freed up within the SRS. And that is simply because of the volume of stuff you see coming through. I know at some point you can't keep adding and adding. You need to stop somewhere. But I think there is a pressure there that if we were to reduce that back down to the 3 that are permanently funded, there may be a pressure in dealing quickly with some of these issues that come through. So we will be working with the partners on that over the next few months. But yeah, we've got 3 there. We've got an apprentice in there who's come from Cardiff Met. We've got 2 additional who are, 3 of those are cybersecurity experts in our organisation, and partners have their own cybersecurity teams. So I think Mark, from a Newport perspective, and Tarek does a lot of your information security work within the council and for schools, Newport specific, that we then support from our side.
Yeah, thanks. So we've got our risk owner is here. That's Dennis Bryan, head of service, team here provide a layer of assurance, and then all the technical assurance is provided by SRS. So it does work really.
Brilliant.
I think
sorry, that's on that. Particularly with regard to schools, have there been any incidents of cyber attacks or lack of security that have got implications for, or have had implications for safeguarding pupils?
From a cybersecurity perspective, I can't, not as in attacks on schools or anything. So not with our authority, is it?
Not, is there not an issue with one school recently? Not one of our SLA.
No, sorry. So there's a distinction between SLA schools and non-SLA schools. So your non-SLA schools, because they're not part of our network, they're very different protection. And one of the reasons one of the schools came back in 18 months or so ago was because they had a cyber attack they didn't get support on. So they came back into SLA and they're kind of automatically protected. But you do hear, and authorities very close to us, you do hear horror stories about things that have happened because the schools haven't been properly protected, and really importantly, they don't meet the EdTech standards. We all of our schools, we deliver to the EdTech standards as defined by Welsh Government, comes at a premium, but that premium is worth its weight in gold when something happens, and that's the reason we have to implement to EdTech standards.
Can I just ask one more question? This is on Newport City Council website. Is the new website that's being implemented now, is that going to be user friendly?
Yes.
I've asked a question on this, and I'll say what I said before, which is it'll definitely be better than the current website. So that's not necessarily a high aspiration, but it will be. We have opted for a open source, which is kind of free, the solution that lots of councils have really good, impressive websites use. We can share some examples of those outside of the meeting if that's helpful. And what we've done in the finances are actually to buy in a partner to help us get from where we are now to that simple website. We've got too much content, we've got too many pages, too many words. some up-to-date content. And so the difficult thing is not the technology, it's taking our living website and kind of making it and bringing it into that quickly and within a reasonable time frame. And that's the investment that we're drawing down from the reserve. So we're jointly working with a partner on that. So I think the original question was, would it be user friendly? You probably meant, would it be more user friendly than the current one? It definitely will. A lot. But yeah, thank you.
The big benefit of what Newport have decided to do is you're moving into a technology where at least 40 other councils across the UK are all working together.
Yeah.
And when they build something, they put it back into the pot for others to consume. So your development time gets quicker and quicker and quicker. So if you want to do something that someone else has already done, you just take it, you implement it.
I see Councillor Petrini would like to come in. I've got a question regarding data, the CO2 generated by sharing and transmitting data. Are you monitoring that? Have you got any way that you can bring that to us when you report next year so we can see how, is that okay? Yeah, I'm just interested in that sort of thing. But, you know, is there any rationalisation going on about how much data is stored? Because obviously the more data is stored, the more CO2 it produces, etc., etc.
I guess the drive is to move, but for everybody these days, to move to more cloud-based systems.
Yes.
Because they are more effective, cost-effective, energy-effective to run. And we've certainly seen that in our move down to Vantage. I know it's not cloud specifically, but by combining, sharing, working together, you drive down all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can probably get some stats on the amount of data we store. What does that relate to from a global perspective?
That would be brilliant. Yeah. Thank you.
I guess as an example, you probably don't say the same thing really.
Possibly. But all I was going to say is we've got a cloud strategy within Newport.
Yes.
So anyway, we work with SRS on that, but we also try and put it in the cloud with a hosted solution as well. So we have already moved a lot to the cloud with SRS and separately as well. So I think hopefully we should see, you know, big
we know that kind of it's not the same CO2 and the cost savings, and you're asking about nationalising data specifically.
Yes,
yes, just the boxes bit that we estimate it to be tens of thousands of pounds in energy saved. That's when energy's gone up as well.
Yes,
I mean, near, you know, somewhere near £100,000. Being saved just on taking all of our equipment, pushing it out into the cloud in a shared model and making it more efficient and so on. That's something we definitely got to keep going.
Brilliant, thank you. Councillor, do you want to come in before Councillor Petrini?
Yeah, obviously he's the
head. Yeah.
It's just a quick question, really. You know, I'm not really into IT and such, but obviously the service offsite, the cloud, everything else. If your premises are burned down tonight, how long will the destruction be to Newport Council? Would be affected anyway, or how long will that timeline be?
Which premises?
If your premises burned down, where you operate from?
So where
or whether your servers are obviously they based in Ireland or
so they're down in Newport, but they're in a what I class as a much more professionally managed data centre. So the chances of those sorts of things happening are quite remote. But if it were to happen, we've got backups of things, and we've got. So I give you the example of your Office 365 data. That's all backed up somewhere else.
Yeah.
So there are, if Vantage, for example, burned down, there are still things that you can do, and there are still ways you can operate to keep the business running.
So the impact on the chances would be minimal.
It would be difficult because you'd have to start bringing new equipment up and restoring things onto new. But there are things that we're starting to look at. And one in particular is called disaster recovery as a service. So we're looking at an external company to host a copy of everything we do somewhere else. So that's coming. We haven't got that yet. But if something catastrophic would have happened, and I think the example we used in a recent desktop exercise is what if their data center burned down, or what if they went out of business? That was the example we used. Yeah. And then you start to get into real difficulties about how you can operate this and that. And
yeah, my nephew works in Dublin for Amazon. They got a cool service. They had an incident a couple of weeks ago, but they're backed up by California.
Yeah.
So obviously it's not just localized, but they had like 6 hours maximum to sort of get back online.
Okay.
Otherwise heavy penalties, and they did it with 4 hours, 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
But it was a stress level. But as I say, slightly different company, but we got to look at the impact. If something happened on your premises, what impact it would have on us and how long.
The example you've given there is exactly why we're better off hosting those systems in the hands of those companies who have those sorts of minimum amounts of downtime and the level of resource wrapped around it to get it back and.
I'm sure you're professional on it. It's just a question needs to be asked and get an answer.
Question. And just to kind of tail onto that, we do, as Matt alluded to, we do run those scenarios within the SRS and with partners. So all levels of people, whether it be management to technical, have all been under the pressure you've just mentioned, which is
because it worked it in, we had to do the our office put them down. What do we do next? So I think that's it. That's a good question for tonight. Cheers.
That's fine. Councillor Scrutiny.
I was just thinking if Microsoft went down, the problem would be bigger than Newport. It'd be a lot bigger. Yeah. Just thank the committee for their questions and their thought through questions and pointed questions. There's just a couple of things I want to pick out, if I may, Chair, with your blessing. One is to thank Matt and the team. It'd be fair to say when I came to the cabinet, things weren't great, but we've worked on it and things have improved greatly. And I want to thank Matt for his professionalism and his team's professionalism, particularly like the website. I'm really, really pleased about we're finally moving on that. Councillor Druitt mentioned it. Yes, it'll be user friendly because we're using it from other councils who already have human beings accessing it, which is, I think, is the key point. So we're not recreating the wheel, which then runs the greater risk of making a fancy website, but no one can use it. So to answer Councillor Druitt's direct question, on Councillor Morris's and Councillor Pym's questions around cybersecurity, it's a constant war. It's a war we'll never, win. There's no winner in these. It's just a constant battle, and no one, and I'm sure Matt, would back me up on this. There's not 100%. This will never happen to us. No organisation can ever say that, but we're doing everything we can, which is financially responsible to prevent major attacks. But will one happen, and can we guarantee it won't do major damage? No. And you won't see any organisation say they can guarantee that. So I just want to be clear about that point, though. The other major piece is around recruitment. I think Councillor Hussain and I think Councillor Screen as well, and Councillor Davis mentioned about apprenticeships and recruitment. And that's been an ongoing piece, hasn't it, Matt, since for the last couple of years with the COVID crisis exacerbating many of those issues. We thought it would ease, and it sounds like it was easing listening to Matt, but to derive local talent is a key for all of us, and I just want to reassure members that is an active conversation. Skills in Newport, we need to maximise them and bring them into the organisation, and Matt wants talent. And building on that from the last final point, Jay, you'd be pleased to know, the future of SRS is the key piece now moving on. A lot of stuff, unless Matt's going to correct me now, has been delivered for Newport. And what we need to do now is think about how do we maximise the benefits for Newport City Council in terms of driving costs lower, as Councillor Druitt mentioned, and delivering on and harnessing the technical skills and expertise that Matt and his team have. And there are many, many avenues which are open to us, and we need to have those discussions and pinpoint them. But one of them, for me, and I'd be interested to hear the committee's views in future meetings, is around data and collaboration, data mining, data warehousing, and analytical stuff like trends and patterns analysis, which we're all building with our intelligence teams. So I think the future with the current is good, and I think the future could be really, really promising. And I'm really excited about it. And this is the most positive, and I've been around us and SRS for a long time. So I just wanted to say that, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chairman. Okay, has anyone got anything else they'd like to add or bring forward? No? I think that's it then. Thank you so much. That was really great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Yours are here. Thank you very much.
Christmas looks like me, it's just Mrs.
Are we all ready to move on to the next item? Yeah.
Don't be so much excited when the person gets.
Let's go then. Let's go.
Next bit. So this is part of my service again, so I also am responsible for partnerships. Executive partnerships. So if I can introduce my colleagues, Janice Dent, who's the partnership lead. This is the job I used to have for those who know me for a little bit longer. Wayne Tucker, one of the senior guys in Janice's team. And online, Jan, I think we've got Dr. Bethan Bowden, who's a consultant in public health. Hi, Bethan. Hi, Bethan. And Harriet Bleach, who's a senior officer at NRW. Hi, Harriet. See you, not see you. She's there. She's there. Great. And obviously you've got the reports in front of you. Janice will take us through that now. I must say Harriet was instrumental in the implementation of this plan, and both NRW and ABUHB are really committed partners within the partnership within Newport, and we've done some great collaborative work together that we're rightly proud of, I think. Jan, do you want to take it from there?
Yeah, so thanks. I'm going to try and match the passion that Matthew had for every month, and so I'll try my best. We're really, really pleased with this report. It's a 5-year summary of the last plans. The plans come to an end now, and legislatively, we're not really required to do a plan. But I think there's so much good work that the partnership has supported across the 5 years that we've been remiss not to. And I think particularly in Newport, we often hear the kind of the bad things, don't we? So it's really positive for us to be able to hear we're working in partnership and working together can achieve to help improve the lives of our citizens in Newport. So it's the summary from One Newport partnership. Really positive partnership. There's well committed. We talked about Ira Bevan and National Resources Wales, but there's also membership from all statutory and voluntary organisations, so South Wales Fire and Rescue, Coleg Gwent, University of South Wales. Lots of people that work together are really committed towards that collaborative goal to making a difference. So we are now, since the Gwent Public Services Board was set up, One Newport became a local delivery group for that partnership. So we're currently processing and working towards the regional plan and our local plan that sits underneath that. So we brought that to committee last time, and we do have some postcards over there if people want to take them to kind of encourage the collaboration on the new plan. But I got very excited last time about talking about this 5-year summary that I forgot to mention the new plan. So I'm going to do that first. So I can concentrate on that now. So, like I said, the partners have achieved so much during the 5-year plan, and we really felt it was important to be able to showcase it, to illustrate the importance and the value and the commitment of everybody involved in the partnership, and to kind of really help and motivate people to see what we can do and the importance of continuing that partnership into the new plan. So the summary is on pages 37 and 49 in the pack. It showcases the work against the wellbeing objectives that we had, and highlights the value of that strong partnership working in improving the lives and wellbeing of our communities. And it also demonstrates how the work plan programme reflects the principles of the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act, and how we work towards that as well. And we do work really closely with the Commissioner's Office for the Future Generations Act as well. So I'm going to pass you on to Wayne to talk a bit more about the actual presentation.
Thank you. Summary used sort of visual presentation and combined with case studies, sort of providing sort of valuable insights into the various initiatives and partnerships that we've established to deliver our previous wellbeing objectives. The range of topics sort of include sort of community development, education, health, and the environment. And the report also highlights sort of cross-cutting themes that have been used to deliver the wellbeing objectives, such as equality, diversity, and sustainability. So that's really important as part of the partnership. both now and moving forward into the future as well, and the new local action plan and wellbeing plan. What I would say is on behalf of the partnership, we would like to thank the many partners and individual citizens that worked hard to make our plan a success and continue to do so on a daily basis. As Janice has already mentioned, following the end of the Newport local wellbeing plan, we are moving to all of the objectives outlined in the Gwent wellbeing plan, and in support of this, when Newport and its partners continue to ensure that local delivery not only assist the Gwent PSB in delivering their plan, but will identify activity in Newport outside of the Gwent wellbeing plan that would benefit from a strong partnership approach. Our local action plan, which was discussed at the last committee, we're then currently a public consultation, as Janice has mentioned. So yeah, so it's open for committee members to consider and comment on the program.
Thank you very much, and it is really a lovely, positive, exciting report, isn't it? It's great, so much stuff. Right, we'll start bottom up this time then. Councillor Davis, is there anything you'd like to say?
So just to sort of share about some of the findings in relation to the participatory budgeting, it's been, as for those of you who aren't aware of the process, it's an effort to engage local people decisions around about their local communities and really having that. Oh, sorry. I will turn my camera off just to see if that helps in terms of my connectivity. I was. Is that any better for you? I was just sharing. I was just sharing the positivity around the participatory budgeting in terms of enabling local people to be able to have that real direct decision making about how public budgets are being spent, and that's something that we've seen and we've been looking to try and demonstrate is those improvements in terms of especially social connectedness and community cohesion, and the opportunities really to bring people together to be able to pool their understanding and their knowledge about local concerns, and particularly try to engage with community members who haven't previously been that active in terms of politics or interacting within their communities, and we've seen some really positive results. It's a programme that's been running now for over a couple of years, real momentum in terms of building that work. And has demonstrated that both in terms of the amount of participation that we've seen, the enthusiasm for the projects, and obviously the additional funding that has been able to be allocated out to community groups. So within the report that's been produced, we can see some of the findings and the numbers that have been involved in terms of the last year of participation, but we've also managed to undertake some evaluation of this, and just for we've been able to see that there has been, particularly within Newport, a real improvement in terms of people's social connections, the ability to work with others, bringing a more stronger and more resilient communities. That really important element about communities having their say within decision making, and also feeling those improvements in relation to community safety. So there have been some real positive aspects of participatory budgeting, and it is a genuine partnership relationship by which we've been working both from the health board perspective, but also with colleagues in Newport City Council, but across in terms of our third sector organisations and involvement with Gwent Police, and across the full range of the public service bodies that have been involved in this work. So I will pause there because there are so many other elements of the report that want to be shared, but just to really emphasise the positive findings that we found within that participatory budgeting work.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Harriet, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just to add, sort of echo what Tracy and Janice and Wayne have said there. I mean, there's so much of it was strong partnership work in terms of green spaces and nature and climate change and people's health and well-being. So as a whole, whole host of people behind all these projects that you can see in the report there, and yeah, lots of progress made, and just to say, it will hopefully all be carried onto into the next local plan and into the Gwent wellbeing plan as well. Everything in relation to climate change and nature recovery, and you know, how it all relates to people's health and well-being as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll take some questions now from the committee. Councillor Davis, do you have any questions?
No, I don't at the moment. I'm reading through all the different events, like I just said, progression and collaboration. And I've got to be honest, I'm very impressed with the report, and didn't realise as well the depth that everything went into. So thank you very much for sharing this report.
Thank you. Councillor Pym?
Hi, Chair. Are we discussing every part of the report at the moment, or are we going to go through it by section?
We're not going to go through it by section, just any general observations. So this is with us just to
if we can just go forward to the purple flag. I'm still trying to get my head around what the purple flag scheme and status is, but I'm just wondering, have the partners spoken or had any direct contact with the actual performers and entertainers? I know that they've been involved with the businesses directly. Businesses change hands quite often, especially pubs and cafes. I wonder if there's any way of actually communicating directly with some of the bands and performers to see what their thoughts and views are on Newport City Centre, and how it could progress or move forward based on their observations and ideas.
We'll have to get back to you on that, Councillor. But I think I'm looking at this behind me. We're in the process of applying for purple flag, so I can definitely take that back and get a fuller answer from one of our officers. Or
if there's an opportunity in the future whereby, I mean, there's a multitude of different kind of types of performers, but you did mention generating and improving the culture of Newport, and I think if there was engagement with the people actually perform and entertain, I think that would be helpful to gather their ideas, their feedback, their experiences, and how Newport can be a more vibrant and enjoyable nightlife for everybody, including the people who actually perform.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor. No, it's a really good point. And I'll definitely take that back to our service area that are coordinating the new plan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jones?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Same again, we could put a flag award that we achieved. That was a great success for Newport. I think that went down really well for everybody. But obviously, we're seeing that close in Newport, and on the other side, you've got a Riverfront, which is successful. I've been there many times myself, and I think is an asset to Newport at the moment. We should keep an eye on that and make sure it's well protected. Going back on to other issues on nightlife and other things, well-being in Newport, is the youth sector. What are we doing for our youth at the moment? We've got some great sporting events happening with Newport Dragons. We've got the Newport RFC, Newport County and such. But what's our linkage with the youth? What are we doing for them as activity? We use our sports clubs, social clubs. Is there anything we can do more to focus on what we can do with our young people?
Yeah, I'm going to
from an education point of view.
We have got the new service area within the council now, the prevention and inclusion, which is kind of concentrating on that. What do we do for young people? How can we improve the lives of the youth? So if we somebody from that area be able to kind of feedback a bit more, but there's lots of work going on. As you've noticed, the new service in Bettis, this concentrated there that they've been recommended for an award. So there's lots of work happening, but we'd have to give you a more rounded.
It's just concentration.
Sorry, just to remind you, we can only talk about what's in this report. So, yeah, so this is what we're scrutinising. It's what's in front of us.
It is all this.
So, do you want to come in on that point? No. So let me say.
Thank you, Chair. It's a great report and the 5-year study, and it's nice to see Green and Mandy and things like Green and Mandy do have a really positive impact on the residents there. And they do so much with so many. It's all around Mandy. But I wanted to ask, with the partners that you've been working with for the past 5 years, is there anything that within the next term, you've got consultation going. Is there any changes that you would make, or maybe get more partners, or get rid of some partners?
I think so we recently had a new member of the group from a business in the community. So we are constantly looking at the partnerships that are and the organisations within Newport that are strong and can help deliver the new wellbeing plan. So yeah, that's constantly up there as to making sure that we've got the right partners around the table. And obviously with the consultation, that's a partnership consultation, it's not just our consultation. So definitely bringing in those views and how can we improve everything that we do really, because
Can I just add to that, Chair? So in this is a very specific partnership and a very specific plan designed to do kind of a set of steps set out in the legislation. And in many authorities, they only work with the statutory partners, and that's great. And we got health here in NRW, but actually you lose out if you don't work with all the partners. So in Newport, we have always sought to, when Newport is the housing sector is there, business in the community is there, urban colleagues are there, so we don't limit it to the statutory partners. It has to be those that Newport Lives there, for example. It has to be those who can contribute to the well-being. It's about well-being, so kind of can't invite everybody. Absolutely. But we do really work hard to kind of look at these the right partners for what we're delivering now, and unlike many other authorities, we don't kind of keep that tight just to the statutory numbers. It's a really good question.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Screen?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So it's a very detailed and comprehensive report. It's very, very interesting as well. I do a lot of good work, obviously. Just a question on I mean, it's a long-term project. So what about learning, organisational learning? What do you learn, or what you learned over the previous 12 months, and how is that learning then put back in, reflecting on it, put back into what you do? Does that sort of thing take place?
So within Newport, there's different intervention boards for each of the different wellbeing objectives, and each of those have got an action plan and a development plan based on the wellbeing plan. Each quarter then, when Newport meets, each of the chairs of that group gives an indication of what's happened over the last kind of quarter, what are the risks to that, what's the impact been, and then that it forms the basis of the discussion at that higher partnership level then to make sure that we're sharing that learning and we're sharing that best practice across the whole of the partnership rather than just in those intervention groups. And obviously the learning that we've had from this plan has helped formulate the discussions that we've had with partners on the new plan and the draft new plan. So yeah, that continuous improvement and continuous learning is one of the main agenda items really for the One Newport partnership.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Morris?
I've got a lot to say actually. First of all, there's nothing wrong with your enthusiasm. I used to teach fire officers how to teach fire officers, and the main thing was the enthusiasm, and it comes across, and it also comes across in this report. I put my cards on the table. I was the chairman of the Wetland Steering Group. The people laughed when we said we're building a bird reserve in Newport. People laughed and people said nobody will ever come to Newport to see wildlife. What they built over there is the most successful, from the RSPB, the most successful bird sanctuary of its type in Europe. If you take away, and let's see how I'm going to drill in, if you take away an animal's habitat, they will die out. If you give an animal somewhere to live, they will come back in numbers and they will recreate. And what you're doing here, you're not just building the habitat, but you're inspiring the youngsters that they can put two and two together. They can see by going into woodlands, creating green areas in places like Maindy, where there's no concrete around them, that they're seeing these creatures return. And I take my hat off to you. It's not always obvious to people. It's not always obvious to people the work that you're doing is paying dividends. This will pay dividends in 2 or 3 generations' time when those kids say to their kids, I created that when you were little. and I take my hat off to you. The whole report is good news. You know, we are terrible for knocking Newport. There's a lot of good stuff in there, and you all highlighted not just what's good, but what can be good. I take my hat off to you.
I've got to say, it's not just me. It is the partnership. So
I take my hat off to you. You deserve it.
Thank you, Councillor Morris. Councillor Jewett.
Thanks, Chair. It's good to see a representative from Natural Resources Wales here. Can I ask Harriet, in terms of the well-being of the city, has enough been done to ensure the resilience of the city to climate change in terms of flood prevention, and what future plans are in place to prevent flooding in Newport?
Thank you.
Hi there, thank you, Councillor. I think first of all, I think that, you know, as mentioned, the next wellbeing plan and the Gwent wellbeing plan will look to address climate change and for nature to recover, and all that ties into people's health and well-being. In terms of flood risk specifically, I think Steve Morgan, my senior, is happy to talk about flood risk specifically with you, sort of outside of this. We've got specific flood risk management teams in NRW that are specialists in this. So they, you know, Steve welcomes, you know, questions and queries and welcomes the opportunity to discuss it further, and with those specialists in Natural Resources Wales. I can't answer that myself at the moment, but I'm happy to take that back to Steve Morgan, or, you know, you're welcome to speak to him directly.
Happy to Steve directly.
Well, is Steve going to present to this committee?
I believe, and I'm right in thinking, Tracy, they're not obliged, I don't mean that in that way, to present to us, but we can invite Steve to come along, and if they want to, they can. If not, they can send us a report to look at.
I certainly would like to ask for a report from Steve to be sent here, or he can
do that coming in.
Thank you.
No problem. Before we go back to Councillor Pym, I understand has got another question. Oh, did you have another question? I just want to say, you know, to echo Councillor Morris, really, this plot is just brilliant, and I'm particularly excited about putting the door stuff, because we know the film industry in Newport is really burgeoning at the moment, and is, you know, we've seen sex education, so many exciting things come out of the city, and so many young people have been able to get involved, and that, you know, that can change their entire lives, and that's just amazing. And in terms of the Purple Flag Scheme, working with our venue holders and our licensees and ensuring that the city has a good reputation, it is a safe place to go out, and people want to come here. I think that's great as well. So I commend you, and I look forward to the next 5 years. Councillor Pym, did you have another question?
Yes, I did. It was regarding the No More May Be Friendly city. In fact, I can turn my camera on now. I finished my shift. I think we're all aware of the importance of bees and wildlife within our city, and what impact it has on the food chain. This year, more than any other year, I was disappointed to see the lack of signage regarding No More May. I'm not entirely sure the reasons why, if any signs were put out, but in the Beechwood ward I represent, there was very little signage, and the only sign that I did see this May was a Welsh sign that was left out. Following the end of May, a lot of the grass was left and cut, and that also coincided with the overgrown grass in the cemetery. I think it would be beneficial and helpful for the public to understand the purpose and the point of No More May if some permanent signage was put up in and around the city. Beechwood Park, for example, a large area in Beechwood Park is left uncut all through the year at the moment, but there's no signage. There's no signage or no information as to why that area is left uncut. And I think that the public would get on board more with these projects and ideas if they knew more about what the purpose and the point of them was. So long term, could we get some signage put up for not just No More May, but the other biodiversity projects that are being run through the city, so families and people can educate themselves? And I think that in the public parks, that would be a real good place to start with. Even if they're not visibly present there, people can stop and find out what the purpose and the long-term plan of these projects are.
Thank you. Tracy, would you like to?
Thanks. Yeah, because that's a Newport City Council activity rather than a partnership. I know it's written here as an EARS reference.
Absolutely.
But it's a Newport City Council activity. And we'll take that back to the Parks department and certainly pass those comments on.
Thank you so much.
That is obviously it'd be helpful to know.
Yeah,
it is.
absolutely.
It's a really good development. The No More May is really good.
Yes. Councillor Morris wants to come in on this point already.
So be very careful what you wish for. It's been so successful at No More May that Newport's now got a population of wasp spiders, which are incredibly rare. And they eat bees and wasps. But they're springing up where they've never been seen before, again, because of the success of not cutting the grass. It's given them the perfect habitat to actually breed. And it's not being shouted out from the rooftop just how successful this is in bringing birds, bees and insects back to our cities. They were fantastic.
Our shrill carder bees. Our shrill carder
bees.
Yes.
It's incredible. It's incredible what's turning up. If you have got loads of photos with the date show you, he says some I can't show you on the time. But every day I try to photograph something different. And if people only take the time to stand and stare, it's incredible what's actually out there. Newport is one of the best places in the country for doing that. I think the city have done a fantastic job, as it yourselves.
It is a bumpy industry with insects. It's on the news today. The warm weather's going to get even more. So it's all good.
So Joey wants to come back in.
I just want to add to what Councillor Morris has just said, that just hundreds of yards behind here, there's the Tumps, and there are volunteers who go there, and it's just full of wildlife, small insects, and people conserving the area. So ecology is so important for us.
It's incredible if you stand and stare what you actually see.
Don't do it, Don't do it, Stevens.
Has anyone got anything else they'd like to add or ask? No, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, for bringing a really positive lovely report to us.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good work.
It is.
Yeah.
We will take
the postcards. Thanks all. Yes, we'll get some recommendations then we'll move on to now. So
just during committee comments I've taken, first of all, for SRS, committee praised the report. Councillor Morris mentioned it was great to see the enthusiasm Matt and the team gave. Councillor Screen's interested in the diversity in the apprenticeships, and SRS will come back and give us the figures for that. Councillor Jones, you mentioned something about a direct contact base.
It is a chain, yeah. So basically, if you can just update and share with all councillors that if you have an issue, this is the person or contact number. As I said, alluded to later on, 8 or 5 is the normal hours. They have it out of hours in the system. They do a silver gold. So they got a contact there, answer the phone, then they go to service engineers. It'd be nice to have an understanding, especially the new councillors, who will find a way to the full service arrangement.
No worries.
Andrew mentioned about the website being opted for open source. Tracy McKim can share examples of the website if so if the committee would like that, we can request that as well.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yourself, Jay, mentioned details about rationalising data, monitoring data. Matt Lewis said he can get some statistics on that as well.
Yeah, yeah, they can bring those next year. I don't need those. That's not an action. It'd just be nice to be added into their report for next year, I think.
Was there any other comments or recommendations the committee would like me to include in this?
Yes, please. Disaster recovery. I'd like to hear more. Very well brought up by Councillor Jones about the disaster recovery plans. Hopefully this time next year they'll have a full disaster recovery plan to show us, and that's actionable should we need it, which hopefully.
I don't think they got one, but do we know about this?
And they said that they were working on developing it, didn't they, and taking it further and all that sort of stuff.
Would you like this to be included in next year's report for it to come as a separate?
I think we should see it.
Yes.
The evidence.
I think an information report once it's ready, if possible, and then for them to bring it and maybe talk us through it next year.
It'd be good for them when then we can praise it, or we can go through it and say, hang on there, there's people that we're concerned about.
Yeah. Wonderful.
I mentioned about recruiting more organisations into the SRS. I also mentioned about safeguarding in schools.
Yeah, it's good to hear that there's more schools getting back involved with them, isn't it?
Sorry, Kate, so what was the comment in regard to safeguarding in schools again?
I said that are there been any incident of breakdown of firewall which had resulted in issues to do with safeguarding in school?
Also with the one you put wellbeing plan again, I think you were impressed with the report again, great to see the enthusiasm. Councillor Pym mentioned about the purple flag, about speaking to entertainers and performers. Jan said she can get back to us about that.
Mm-hmm.
Neil, sorry, just to follow on from that point, one thing I personally would like to see a little bit more of in the city centre is more organised busking and street entertainment, and I'm just wondering if you could take that forward with the, again, whether it comes in the purple flag, I don't know. But a little bit
comes under this today, Matt.
No, okay.
No.
But just some more better communication with the entertainers and finding out what works, what would help them when they perform in the city centre, how we can assist them and improve the experience, because a lot of the stuff is governed around the bars and kind of the income of the bars and how well they do, and I do think more often that a lot of the entertainers are kind of are left behind.
Would you find it useful if you were supplied with the criteria for the Purple Flag Awards so you can see what the council has to fulfill and submit to achieve it?
Yeah, because I don't quite understand what it means. And apart from like street safety and nighttime safety, I don't understand what it is.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure whether that is in the remit of the Purple Flag to speak to the entertainers, individually. But let's get the criteria and we can all take a look at that and we'll have more knowledge on it.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Just a question. With a new appointment as city centre manager, I know it's shops like that, but I come under entertainment and overall the shopping area.
It's my understanding that the role of the city centre manager will be the liaison point between businesses and the council. So, for example, if they've got a planning query,
yeah,
I would
not entertainment and stuff like that.
I shouldn't think so. No, I suppose that's then.
I just thought it was the domain.
Not my job. I don't know the full scope of the job description. I just understand that to be one part of it.
In other cities, the city centre manager, in Bath, for instance, you can't just bus, can you? You have to be auditioned.
Oh, yeah.
In places like that, you have to go through the city centre manager.
I suppose this would be
where you can be.
This would be another topic. I'm not fully up to date with the whole job description of the city centre manager, because obviously elected members were involved.
Because the city centre domain, what happens with entertainment, it might come under the same. You might have involvement, that's all.
He may well do, but I'm not sure that falls under the one Newport report, because obviously that's operational. But
as well as what Matt was continuing on, Matt was saying, really.
Good point.
Again, thanks, Morris. Just to include your comment as well about it's inspiring what the partnership are doing, in regards to the youngsters creating more green areas and places. We haven't got much. It's not obvious to people, but seeing what's happening is paying dividends, and then generations down the line.
Because the generations don't realise the work they've done now is paid off.
Agree with you. That's Morris.
Also, Kate, so if it's a request, we can ask a National Resource Wales possibly for an information report to come through just to see what they're doing about flood risk and mitigations. So once we get that information, we can send it out to the committee, if that's okay.
Can I make a point there? It's not quite on this report. but we could really do with a presentation on the flood risk in Newport, because not many people realise the severity of the.
Well, that's all, and we'll pop it when we talk about the full work programme.
Because it is a severe flood risk.
Is there any other comments or recommendations that you'd like to make in regards to this report?
It was the with the Be Friendly City, some permanent signage that can be left up all year. Just so the areas.
She's going to take that back, isn't she? Because it's operational. She'll take that back to officers.
Yeah. Okay.
Brilliant. Okay. Shall we do the minutes of the last meeting next? If that's all that finished. Minutes of the last meeting. Just page by page, if anyone's got any comments. Page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7. Would somebody like to propose them?
Yeah.
And a seconder. Thank you.
Just my report here, just to advise that we're all up to date with our action sheets. Next 2 meetings, currently it's next Tuesday, 9:30 pre-meeting, 10 o'clock starting. We've got the Regional Partnership Board Area Plan and Annual Report. So that Sally Ann Jenkins, the Strategic Director for Social Services, joining online. We'll have Phil Diamond, who's the manager of the Regional Partnership Board, and we'll also have the Development Service Manager coming as well for that.
So can you just repeat the time again? What time you want to see it?
So it's next Tuesday, okay? So it's 9:30 pre-meeting, and then it's 10 o'clock starting.
Okay, so that long time.
And then meeting after that would be Wednesday, 8th of November. So we'll have the Norse coming back, and we'll also have the draft Safe and Newport Strategic Needs Assessment.
Is that the 16th?
That would be the normal start at Wednesday, 5 o'clock.
I just double checked that I wrote the normal time down on Tuesday. So
Tuesday's a special one. It's a one-off.
it is.
Brilliant. Norse. Brilliant.
Neil,
Okay, so-
what was the last date that you mentioned then?
So it was Wednesday, the 8th of November at 5 o'clock. So the pre-meeting would be at 4:30.
Yeah, that's great. I got that on my calendar. Thanks.
So in terms of forward look after that,
off the top of my head, in December we've got the EAS value for money report. That's an annual report which comes to us. So we'll have reps from the EAS, head price, and we'll also have the head of education. And December will also.
Sorry, Neil.
I think off the top of my head, sorry. I don't have the information.
No, it's fine.
I'm sorry.
What date is that again, Neil?
That would be
The 6th of December.
6th of December.
6.
Yes, nice.
That's fine.
Thank you.
It's the Violence Against Women, Domestic Abuse and Sexual Violence report. So again, that's another annual report which comes to the committee.
Fine. And have you got into the next year there as well?
Yeah, sure. So then we've got Wednesday the 7th of February at 5 o'clock. We've got the Area Planning Board, Substance Misuse.
This have to write all this down. This is just
information.
Actually get it.
Yeah, we're waiting for the email, don't worry.
Yeah, so this will be a new report which comes to the committee. So we'll have the head of prevention and inclusion and the substance misuse manager. So we've got room on there to add any topics. Again, this is the committee's forward work programme. You're free to add, anything which in the remit.
A specific climate change report into that date? Is that what's
that's what I think. Let's see yourselves about the phone.
So that comes into a whole climate change.
Yeah.
Would that be all right?
We can request the information report first of all, so we can give to the committee. If you're happy with the information, fine. if you did want them, the coming further to see, to present something, I can check to see whether they would be able to.
With all the NRA,
Yes.
the NRA have a report out about the flood risk and Newport. They've got the maps. It's all in. And people don't realise how serious and how imminent it is.
The problem is
Obviously, there's the mitigation work that's happening, both it's in Lisbury at the moment, isn't it? The next project.
The interesting thing there is they're building the banks of the river. But the flood risk that people don't realise doesn't come from the river. It comes from the water that's the other side of the river trying to escape. The fluvial flow is as serious as the tidal flow.
Shall we get this report? Sorry, Pat, I didn't mean to speak over you. Shall we get this report for reference from NRW? Maybe we can meet separately, us guys, and have a look at it. And then if we'd like to invite anyone in to give us further information,
I think we ought to invite him as well, Steve Morgan from National Resources Wales, because
there is an understanding, obviously, that they're not statutory bound to report to us.
I wasn't very happy with the answer to my, well, in fact, there was no answer to my question today. Oh, I can't answer that.
That's anything operational, you can go directly.
Yeah, it's only what's in the report, isn't it?
We can certainly request, information to come to us.
Let's do that and let's go from there, I think.
This is publicly available information, but it would be good if they would explain it to people the seriousness of it.
They need to be accountable to us. We're accountable to the people in Newport. They need to be accountable to us.
I just go back with the flooding and stuff like that, because I'm on a planning committee, it comes into all the future planning.
Yeah.
So obviously you've got their commitments to the flooding and barriers and such like that, but it'd be interesting to see how the two come intertwined together.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, sometimes on planning, they're not on the same page.
Yeah, that's it.
We've got 50-year, 100-year planning, and yet when it comes to new legislation, under the flood risk.
So let's, sorry, Pam, I don't mean to keep over talking.
No, not at all. No, but I was going to make the point that clearly climate change has increased risk to people, and flooding in Newport particularly is such a it's increased exponentially.
But when I send this to Steve, is there anything in particular that you would like me to request to include in the information report, so we can get everything bundled together for for the committee?
I think
few areas of Newport at risk from
I guess just the very specific.
projections of flooding. They must have projections.
Yes, they do. I visited the sites and they do.
The lowest part of Newport is in this way.
Between, I used to live on Corporation Road.
You've got.
Well, that's one of the lowest, but between Bromley Park and Pontfaen, that little lane that goes through from Bromley Park into Pontfaen, that's the lowest part of Newport. I know that because I spent so many times there as a fireman, and I wasted water. I mean, that's the third.
Well, the roads then, they more ditches.
Yeah.
So should we'll receive that report, we'll look at it. Is that good?
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Realize probably in the stream.
And any other business?
Catastrophic flood.
What was that date again, Neil, for February?
For February in
The 7th, Ben.
Enjoy Christmas.
Excellent.
If something more wants to present to us, that'd be great.
Excellent.
We'd love you to present.
It's very critical.
Office students.
That's it. Everything on my end, Chair.
Perfect. Any other business? See you all Tuesday then. Not in real life with me. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for your work as well. Thank you all for.
Cheers, thank you.
Thanks.